This is like so essential to really move you forward and closer to your goals. Because the reality is that life happens to all of us. There's always something that can go wrong. But what really matters is on how you approach it. If you can still sit down, focus and get work done, or if you're gonna let everything distract you. Hello guys, what's up? How is everyone doing? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sabine, and if you've never been here before, I am a growth mindset mentor for female entrepreneurs, and I basically help them with all things limiting beliefs, creating a crystal clear vision for their business, and also creating success habits. It's now the end of June, and that means that 6 months of 2020 have already passed, and you're probably one of many people for who this year hasn't been like as successful as you wanted it to go, myself included. I also had some ups and downs, but it doesn't mean that you will not be able to achieve your goals still in the remaining 6 months of this year, because 6 months is a ton of time. But what you need now is to reevaluate, refocus, and to really make sure that you set great action steps and great habits so that you can still achieve your 2020 goals. And that's why for today's video I have gathered 10 tips, my top 10 tips on how you can still make sure that you will reach all of the goals that you set at the beginning of the year by the end of 2020. But before we start with those 10 tips, make sure that you subscribe if you don't want to miss out. Also give this video a like, that would help me a ton, because I just started with my YouTube journey, and there's also a downloadable checklist for you in the description box where I will summarize everything that I'm now gonna go through. But let's just really start with my first point, and that is to get clear on what went wrong, because like I just said, 2020 really has been hard for everyone, but it doesn't mean that every reason applies to every person. So what you really want to make sure is that you really sit down and analyze what went wrong for you in particular. What is the root? What is it specifically that went wrong for you? Because you can only solve a problem if you really take it from the root. What is the actual cause of the situation that you are in right now? What made you really procrastinate, not take actions on your dreams? That's where you have to start if you still want to reach your goals of 2020. Because I'm a growth mindset mentor, so I always talk about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And the thing here is that people with a fixed mindset, they're probably going to be like, what, it doesn't matter, 2020 is over 50%, so I'll just move my goals to the next year. But no, it's not gonna happen, not under my watch, because you still have 6 months of time. And people with a fixed mindset, they probably will feel like a failure now, and we're going to talk about failure in just a second. But with a growth mindset, you understand that every situation is a result of a previous situation. So every decision that you have taken so far has resulted in you being in this exact situation right now. And that also means that the future is also depending on how you are acting right now. And if you now make the decision that, okay, I'm still going to reach my goals, then you definitely will if you take the right action steps. Because most of the time, if people don't take action and they are procrastinating, then they might be lacking in certain things. For example, they might be lacking in their why. And if you don't have your why straight, then pretty much you are lacking in direction, because how do you want to reach your goals if you don't know how to get there, right? And even why you should get there. So if your goal wasn't clear enough, if you said it too vague, or even if it was too broad, then obviously it's going to be hard for you to take action because you don't even know where to start. And that will basically lead to commitment issues. But another problem that also a lot of people have, and again we're going to talk about it in this video, are bad habits. For example, the habit that you basically don't set time for your goals. If you don't have a certain time a day, a week that you really work on your dreams, and how are they supposed to come true, right? So if you're lacking this focus, then it's also going to be really hard for you to really move forward. But let's just move on to my next point, because lacking in confidence is also a problem that leads to procrastination. So my second point is to really get comfortable with failure, because the thing with failure is that everybody fails. Even the most successful person is still failing. But failure is a good thing, because you will learn from failure, and learning is always like a lifelong process, especially if you are a business owner or you want to become one. Then failure is really something that you have to embrace, that you have to plan into your process, because again, with a growth mindset, you will learn from failure. It's not going to disencourage you. It's going to help you to really know how to not do something, and how to approach things differently. And that's why you really have to work with failure. Obviously you're not going to fail like every day 24/7, but eventually, as you are building things, you are going to fail. There will will be something going wrong. But what's important again is that you approach it with a growth mindset and learn from it. I actually have like a whole video series about failure. I will link it up here, so watch it if you are interested in failure. But my favorite exercise for you to do also is to really think about what is the worst case scenario, but like also the most possible worst case scenario. So not just like, you know, make up doomsday, but really think about what is like the worst thing that could actually happen, and then think about, is it actually that bad? Now the third tactic on how you can still reach your goals in 2020 is to really remembering your why. I talk a lot about the why, but it's also really important because you have to know why you set up, you know, on your journey in the first place. You have to know why you set certain goals, and because, you know, reaching goals, taking action is most of the time an emotional thing. It's a mental thing. So if you are mentally not in a good state, then obviously you're not going to take action. So if you remember your why, and if that why, you know, really gives you like this, you know, kind of positive energy, it motivates you, it really sets you on fire, then definitely you have set the right goals. But you also have to make sure that you remember your why, because if the why is incorrect, and that leads me to the next point, you really have to reevaluate your goals. You know, 6 months is a long time and things can happen, and even if you haven't taken as much action as you initially wanted to, it doesn't mean that you haven't changed as a person. So while you are changing, while you are growing, your goals are also changing. You know, you might want to adapt them. So again, 6 months have passed since you have set your 2020 goals. So you really want to make sure now that you reevaluate them. Like I just said, are those still the things that you really want to pursue? Are they still the things that set you on fire? You know, if you think about them, are you getting, you know, like a huge smile in your face? Or is it more like, I don't really feel like doing it, it makes me scared? Because if you have set the wrong goal, you know, maybe if it's not motivating enough or it scares you, then you really have to rethink your approach, your goals, and obviously also your mindset, because I'm all about growth mindset. And a great way on how you can set achievable goals is the SMART technique. And SMART basically stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And now, like in the following video, I will try also to give you ideas on how you can set goals based on that SMART technique. But another thing that I also find really important is to always measure your goals, you know, being able to really measure it and see if things are working out or not. And again, I will talk about that in a later part of the video, but what's important for now is that, you know, when you set your goals, I don't know, you want to lose weight, you want to gain a certain amount of following, you want to sell your products to a certain amount of people, always put a number to it. It's really important to have a number, because a number also makes your goals more precise, it makes them more concrete. So don't just say like, oh yeah, I want to lose weight, I want to gain more followers, I want to sell my program to a couple of people. No, really put like a number, set goals, and then work, and then really do anything to make that come true. And that leads me to the next point, which is to create small goals and then set deadlines, because again, you want to make sure that you measure things. You want to also make sure that you know by when you should reach a certain step, because if you set a goal, you're probably not setting it for like 20 years time, right? You really want to have a goal that you can work on right now and see results on right now, because the longer it's going to take for you to work on something, because that time can then also act as a negative trigger, you know, things can go wrong and there might be distractions if you don't focus enough on your goals. So you want to make sure that you have smaller goals in place that really keep you on track and keep you working on your business. And now to figure out what these smaller goals could be, I really want you to do like a mind map. I personally love mind maps. It's like such a cool way to brainstorm and to really get everything that is concerning your business into one page, and, you know, not having to worry about structure. So do a mindset, you know, make at least 5 areas on your business, and then try to figure out what are goals that you can achieve soon, and what are goals that would be more like long-time projects. But the important thing here is that, you know, once you know what are your goals for the rest of the year, then you really have to set deadlines to it. You know, have like goals that you say like, okay, like December 31st, I will be done with it, so I can set new goals for 2021, right? So then you have like this big goal for the rest of the months. 6 months you have time. But then what I want you to do is to break it down to like 2 quarterly goals. And then again, break those down into monthly goals, into weekly goals. And then when you really have your weekly goal, you can then really start to set up your time, you know, like your to-do list on what you have to work on every single day, so that you can still achieve your 2020 goals. Because like I said, if you know what you want to do, and if you know by when it has to be completed, then you also know what you have to do every single day, so you can really make sure that it will be completed. And to go back to that mindset, what you're really achieving now is that if you have like your business in the center, and then you have like your first circles around, that is your what. The what is kind of not enough. Like the what is just like what you want to achieve, but then you have to know how you achieve it, and that is the S in the SMART technique, the specific one, right? So if you extend that mindset, I mean, you know how mind maps work, right? You have your center, then you have the next next step, that is your what, and then you set the next one, and that is your how. And that is if you use the SMART technique on how you get to create really specific goals. And again, you really have to set deadlines to make them happen. So for example, if you want to grow your following, then write down the specific steps on how you're going to achieve it. Again, it's really important to have that certain number in place, but it's just as important to also write down how you're going to achieve it. You know, what is your method? And now we have to talk about the next big thing, and that is to build new habits. And you can have the best plans, you know, the best strategic plans, but if your habits are not on point, then you're never going to achieve them. I actually have a whole series about habits, I think like 6 videos, I will link it up there, because habits are basically the core thing on how you can reach your goals. And that's why number 6 is to really build new habits. And habits are really on how you can make your goals attainable. If you think back about the SMART technique, there was an A for attainable. And with habits is basically how you can really achieve your goals. So I don't want to talk too much about habits because I have done so plenty of times, like I said, in the playlist up there, but I just really want to say that again, habits are really important, and it takes only 3 weeks to build 1 habit, and I even have a video on how you can build 3 habits in 3 weeks. So go have a look at the videos and then really start working on the habits, because if you want to reach things but you cannot reach them as the person you are right now, then you really have to change. And my mantra for the year 2017, which has really changed my life, was nothing changes if nothing changes, and you really should write that down and remember it. And now let's think about the timely part of the SMART technique, and that is again to really set fixed days of a week or of a day where you're going to work on your goals. Because again, I don't know in which position you are. You might already be a female entrepreneur, or you might still be in a 9-to-5, but you still want to reach your goals. And you, like I said, you will not reach your goals if you don't really set a time on when you're going to work on them. Because if you just say like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, but you don't really have a fixed time aside on when you're actually going to work on it, then again, how are you supposed to achieve your goal, right? So, you know, some people work differently. Some people like to have like a whole day where they're just going to work on a certain task. Other people say like, you know what, I'm just going to set like 3 hours a day on just that one thing and then see how far it's going to take me and how fast also. So, you know, whatever works for you, obviously also depending on your work situation, but make sure that you at least 3 or 4 times a week work on your goal. Mark it in your calendar, you know, make your calendar your best friend, and then stick to what you wrote down and scheduled. And then it's all about getting started. And again, I have a whole video linked up here where I really talk about how you can build momentum with like small achievements to really get you started to work on the big tasks. Because if you haven't really like done anything about your goals, you know, worked on them, then it's going to be really hard for you mentally to really start. So you really want to build that momentum to get you going. And like I said, video is going to be up here, but again, this is like also like the measurable part of the SMART technique. Because if you start with small action steps, you also really want to make sure that you measure and track everything that you're doing. Because again, you always have to evaluate on, you know, is it still what you want to do? Is your plan working out? You know, it's like the time that you set for yourself, like all of the deadlines, are they working out? Is it actually like achievable for you to work on that plan that you've set? So you always want to make sure that you really reevaluate and take things seriously as they are. Because, you know, for one, obviously, if you are a bit more inexperienced, then you don't know yet how long things are going to take. So, you know, if you set like an unrealistic time plan or like a schedule for you, and if you are in a fixed mindset, then this might also be disencouraging because you have basically set the wrong time for you. But again, with the growth mindset, you have to understand that everything is a growth process. So you really want to make sure that you keep on evaluating, change things that are not working out, you know, really see how you can optimize certain processes, maybe even outsource them if you can afford it. But really, like, the main part is to really track and monitor everything that you're doing, and then optimize, outsource, and thus really get closer to your goals and getting them achieved. Now, my 9th part, and that one is again like so important, that is to focus on focus. And again, I have made a whole video, I will link it up here, and the video is called Why Motivation is Killing Your Dreams. Because motivation alone will never help you to really achieve your goal. Because motivation, again, is something emotional, it's fading over time. But if you learn and build a habit out of focus, and, you know, being able to focus on tasks and also focus on the important tasks that will really move your business forward, then that is definitely a habit and a skill that nobody can take from you. And again, this is like so essential to really move you forward and closer to your goals. Because the reality is that life happens to all of us. There's always something that can go wrong. But what really matters matters is on how you approach it. You know, if you can still sit down, focus and get work done, or if you're gonna let everything distract you. And then my last tip on how you can still reach your 2020 goals is to rewrite them and revisit them every single day. And I feel like the best way to really do that is to write them down with pen and paper, because I just feel like there is something to it when you really use a pen and write it down, because in this moment you're just focusing on that one goal. And it is even like scientifically proven that it increases your tendency to really reach your goals if you write them down. And what I also want you to do is not only to write them down, but you know, feel your goals, you know, really make it emotional. Like write down how it's going to make you feel once you've reached that goal. Or what's an even better trick is to act as if. So if you write down, you know, as if you've already reached that goal, like I don't know, I just hit 1,000 followers or something like that, you know, and then write down how you feel about it, and then also really feel it, you know, because if you really feel your goals and they make you really happy, then obviously, you know, you're much more likely to take action and to really work on them every single day. And I feel like if this is a way on how you can start your day, like a very positive, you know, ambitious way, then why not? And that's someone's mowing the lawn. Oh well, because that's pretty much anyways everything that I wanted to say for today's video. I really hope that you've learned something. Let me know down in the comments below which of those tips you think were the best that will really help you to still achieve your 2020 goals. And like I said, don't forget to subscribe and also to download your checklist. I always have like a whole package for you with every video, and there's also like a longer podcast episode for this video. I haven't recorded it yet, but once I have, it will be down in the description box. And also hop on over to my Instagram, the name is here, because I talk a lot about growth mindset. Obviously I talk a lot about business. I am also usually a diginomad, so I take you along on my journeys, you know, all of my travels. And yeah, I just like to chat over there on my stories, so make sure that you also follow me there, send me a DM. And yep, that's all that I had to say. I really wish that you are taking action right now so you can still achieve your goals for this year. I would also really love to know what those goals are, so again, like just pop them down into the comment section, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye guys.